All right, welcome to Halitics. I'm Hal Ginsberg. No opening music today. A little bit of technical problems. They always just keep coming back, and it's driving me absolutely batty, crazy, nuts. I don't even understand why when I open up my VLC player, I don't see the... Oh, I know why, because I was using the wrong player. Should have been using the Windows Media Player. I'm sure Furley's is there. Yes, it is. And I was interested that YouTube now, Google, which owns YouTube, is actually identifying the theme music that I've been playing. So if you go to the, well, I guess you watch on YouTube. So yesterday's program, for example, in the description, they actually had Fur Elise, which is the theme music. And I chose it because I'm pretty confident it's in the public domain. It's not like I'm using anybody's copyright or anything like that. I sure hope not. I guess there's maybe the performance is somehow copyrighted. I don't think so. I think it's just it's out there for us to use. So I hope that's the case. I hope I'm not breaking any copyright rules. I really try hard not to. All right, today's program, is the honeymoon over? Yeah, yesterday I was pretty pro Harris Walz. I liked the choice of Walz on balance. Harris and Walz both speaking yesterday in Detroit, and the response by the putative, she hasn't been the nominee, she's not the nominee yet, but I guess it's a foregone conclusion, right, that she'll be the nominee. Her response to some pro-Palestine, anti-genocide protesters was not what I would have liked. I'm not happy about it. I understand it, though. I really do. And I try. See, I think part of the problem I have as a radio host is sometimes I really bend over backwards, to be fair, to try to understand both sides of issues and to see, several different perspectives. And a lot of hosts aren't like that. Even the ones I really respect on the left are often, not invariably, not always, but they're pretty dogmatic. And certainly somebody like a Jimmy Dore, who I think has done a lot of really good work exposing corruption in the Democratic Party, demonstrating just how bad it is, just how in the pocket of the corporate elites the Democrats are. He's done a great job of that, but he has a certain narrative and he just has to go by it. And every fact he fits into, he jury rigs into his preferred narrative. So that's not good. You have to take facts as they are, not the way you want them to be. So he wants to believe that Greta Thunberg is somehow a shill, a establishment shill, and she doesn't really believe in the climate catastrophe, which is all too real. So he has to interpret her actions through that lens, where Dore is diminishing her, attacking her, and that's really unfortunate. That's not what I do here. 240-242-5646. But sometimes you can bend over backwards too far. You can try too hard to understand people. You can try too hard to maybe see good where maybe there isn't. And I hope I'm not doing that. Certainly Revolutionary Blackout Network, Brianna Joy Gray right now, they really can't stand Harris. And I understand why. She does absolutely seem so inauthentic, such a phony all the time. She really has never demonstrated long-term any real fealty to any real progressive values or to the constituents who aren't rich. So I get that. But maybe she's not quite as evil as they present her or as amoral. I think the Walz pick does suggest that maybe there's real concern for the average everyday American. The way she reacted to pro-Palestine protesters yesterday in Michigan is really bad. It's really problematic. But maybe, just maybe, there's a reason for it that is somewhat of an explanation. Alternatively, maybe there isn't. I'm not sure the right answer. We're going to start, and it's very, very relevant, as we so often do on this program. As we so often do, we're going to start with Gaza. and what is happening there, just how awful the Israeli occupation, and it's clearly an occupation. It's a war on the people who Israel is over whom Israel is Lord, right? Is lording it over everyone there. It's so awful, and we're not going to ever sugarcoat that here. I know some people don't like that. So this is the latest. It's a few hours, maybe now it's an hour or two old. So the latest strikes on 2 schools, right? That's what Israel is reduced to now. That's what the Israeli military does, is they attack schools. And there's Hamas tunnels under there. We hear this, there's Hamas tunnels, there's Hamas tunnels. Who knows, maybe they got some report. I'm not saying they didn't, but you know what? There were all these refugees crouching, hiding, trying to be safe from Israel in that school, in those 2 schools. They really didn't give a fat rat's butt. We're going to kill you. We're going to, if you're in our way, we're going to kill you. The actual numbers continue to, the whole picture, the big picture, rather than just one atrocity we just documented, but the bigger picture. And I don't know that we just reported 15 killed in that attack on the 2 schools. I think that post-dates these latest numbers. The killings just never end there. 22 people over the past 24 hours, and I believe that number predates by an hour or two the attacks on the school. So add another 15 more, plus many others as well, possibly. We don't know that Israel has killed. So this is a genocide in real time. The U.S. is aiding and abetting, is helping, as part of, is very significantly the Biden-Harris administration responsible for, and nothing, in my view, is more important when it comes to choosing a president than selecting somebody who will actually stop it, will actually do what the U.S. government can do, what the U.S. executive branch can do, and that is stop the eradication, the elimination of Gaza. I'm not persuaded that Harris Walls will. I am more confident that they won't, based on the most recent evidence, but based on the entire picture as well. It is not pretty. We do not see, and I've been through this many times, I'm not going to repeat it right now, but we know that the Harris Walls situation, at least with regard to Kamala, and perhaps with regard to Tim Walz too, is not one that is truly empathic with respect to the people of Gaza. It is not one that is prepared to take on power, to take on empire. It's just simply they're not going to do it. At least it certainly doesn't appear that they will, and they haven't shown that they will. So you have to make a decision, right? I mean, politics is the art of the possible. Can we must we demand better than what we've seen from Biden and Harris when it comes to supporting supporting an embattled people that are under tremendous duress? And I say, yeah, we do. We absolutely have to. I'm going to play a clip here. I don't always do this, but I feel like I really want to center a little bit more than I have the plight of the Palestinian people. So this is from Al Jazeera video, and they're talking to a doctor. I hope I got the video good. I may not have. Let's see. We'll just gonna cue it up for you a little bit before yeah, so here we go. This is the Palestinian Red Crescent, I believe, the chair, the head guy with the Palestinian, the Red Crescent of Palestine, and that's like our Red Cross, only they use a crescent because cross is the symbol of Christianity, crescent the symbol of Islam. So here we go.
Zarini, back in April, he said this, that a man-made famine is tightening its grip on the Strip. What's your assessment as to whether there really is a famine taking place?
Let me say the following. All aspects of life in Gaza Strip is facing a terrible situation and can get worse. If we are not in a famine, when you're talking about definitions, international definitions, but there are cases dying from famine. This has been proven. We are in the way, in the road for things to get worse. When regard to the health of babies, when it comes to the health of women giving deliveries or otherwise, when it comes to the health of the whole population in Gaza, it is not, when you're talking about water and sanitation, the infrastructure is completely destroyed in the Gaza Strip. So, of course, in one way or another, communicable diseases is spreading in Gaza. And these are evident that has been proven of cases of communicable diseases. And children are the most susceptible to get these diseases in such a situation.
What about the state of hospitals, which are, of course, supposed to be protected places under international law? We know that they have been repeatedly targeted by Israeli forces, including PRCS's hospitals. How are you, as president of the organization, pushing for accountability?
Nothing has been protected in Gaza. Not the civilians, before talking about humanitarian workers or relief workers, hospitals, ambulances, nothing has been protected. International law has not been respected.
All right, so there you go. There's the video. Let me get genocide in real time. We are, as a country, facing a profound moral test, and we've completely failed it. Both political parties have sided with the oppressor, the genocider, the genocidal state. It is tantamount to the United States in 1941 going to war on the side of Nazi Germany. And I don't have, a way to truly distinguish between the two. It's that evil what we're doing. And we need a president, we need an administration that will say no. I don't believe there's any reason to have confidence that Kamala Harris will say no to Israel. And there's nothing that she's said that should give you reason to believe that. Maybe she cares a little bit. I'm not denying it. But ultimately what matters is action. This is from today's New York Times. In Detroit, Harris confronts, and it's very interesting because they use the term confronts twice in this article. Once in the headline, which I get the writers didn't write, but it certainly reflects the headline writers. I mean, this reflects that there's three writers. They can't just have one do it. I think because Wiseman is like the old wise head. He's been doing this for 30 years, and the other two are younger, so they have the older reporter kind of overseeing what the two younger ones have to say, making sure they don't go, off half-cocked and start writing stuff that the Times doesn't want them to say, whether it's some language to the effect of Harris demonstrates no empathy for the plight of Palestinian people, or Harris all in for genocide. Obviously, something like that they would never publish, and Wiseman is there to help make sure that the writing is consistent with the New York Times' book. So the headline writer says, in Detroit, Harris confronts divisions roiling Democrats over Gaza war. The vice president spoke briefly with leaders of a group that mobilized. So that's the uncommitted. And I remember the progressives, oh yes, uncommitted, it's going to make a difference. And we see progressive groups right now, PDA, so-called, self-described, self-defined progressive groups, PDA, Our Revolution, pretty much all in for Harris, but she doesn't pay any mind. She gives very short shrift to uncommitted, just as Biden did. And I think this is terrible. I think it's outrageous. I think it's wrong. We'll play a clip from her actual speech where she basically tells the pro-Palestine, anti-genocide protesters to go pound sand. But let's just go into the article for a moment first. I note that I am going to be fair. I think I may be trying to be too fair to the vice president. As many of you who think I am unfair to the Democrats, and I don't recognize just how evil Trump is and how the only thing that ultimately matters is defeating Trump, maybe I've heard you. Maybe I've heard you a little too loudly, because I'm still sort of haven't yet ruled out voting for Harris. And by all rights, I probably should have. So remember, the headline says Harris confronts divisions. But in the text of the article itself, they use the term confronted pro-Palestinian and anti-Gaza war protesters. So here they're acknowledging, no, it's not just she's addressing the divisions. She's taking side. She's taking sides here. She's saying, I'm confronting you. I'm confronting you who say we can't keep funding genocide. I'm saying to you protesters who care about your families, who are terrified that your homeland is being utterly destroyed, eradicated, that Israel is sowing the fields of Gaza with salt. I'm confronting you. That's what Kamala Harris did, in my view. And those are the wrong people to confront. She should be confronting AIPAC. She should be confronting the pro-Israel contingent, faction. But she doesn't. She's not. You have to decide if that's reason enough to just simply throw your hands up in there and say, I can't. This isn't democracy. We don't live in a moral country anymore. We've completely lost our thread. And, I'm kind of almost there, but like I said, maybe I'm giving Harris just a little bit too much a benefit of the doubt. Maybe I'm thinking, okay, well, I get why she's doing this. I understand. It's politics. You have to sometimes, you can't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Is Obama never tired of chiding people who wanted some good out of government? Well, maybe there's truth to that. Maybe we can't let the enemy, maybe Harris really will be good. And that's as far as I go, right? She has to be good. I can't vote for someone who's just going to be less bad. They have to actually be good. So the people that Kamala Harris confronted, who are they? So a Ms. Elabad, Palestinian, she broke into tears. I told her that I meet with my community members who are losing tens and hundreds of family members every day. And we need something from her that can guarantee that we can save their families' lives. Now, it's really interesting. That seems so reasonable, right? Doesn't that seem like the bare minimum? If you're going to vote for a president or vote for somebody to be president, that you want them to say, hey, we're going to stop the killing, or we're going to do what we can to save your family. That seems so reasonable, so minimal, the bare minimum that you should expect from a candidate that you're going to vote for. So reasonable. And how does the New York Times characterize that? That extraordinarily reasonable request? A demand. They characterize it as a demand. How dare these people demand? How dare they face Kamala Harris with demands? Wow. I thought as voters, that's wholly right. We say to a candidate, you want us to vote for you, you got to do this. Are the demands, as they characterize it, is it a reasonable demand? Could you come into our community and tell the tens of thousands of people in my community that their families in Palestine, we're going to do what we can to stop the killing, the murder of them by the Israeli military? New York Times doesn't seem to give a crap about that. Nope, just don't make any demands. Don't rock the boat. We got to vote for Kamala because of Trump. Trump is so evil that Democrats can do whatever the hell they want. I mean, what a gift to the Democratic Party. What a gift they've created in Donald Trump. We don't have to do crap. We're Democrats. We're not Trump, so you have to vote for us. That's the message, loud and clear. We can do whatever the hell we want. We can sell workers right down the river. We can have corporations relocate offshore. We can simply open up the border so that people that we've made their lives a living hell, an absolute living hell south of the border in Asia, destroyed their country so they have no place to go, roiled them without crime. They're clamoring to come into this country because we've ruined their lives. We'll say, hey, come on in, and you can take the jobs that American workers were doing, put them out of work, and we'll pitch you against each other. Right? That's your Democratic Party for you. But we can do anything we like because we're not Trump. Look, you want to vote, and I might do it. I might fall for that again. Say, yeah, well, Harris is better than. And by the way, that's a little bit unfair. The Democrats haven't opened up the border, so they haven't been decent to immigrants. They haven't treated immigrants better than, well, a little better than Republicans. But the message is clear. Hey, if we want to increase the supply of labor, thereby driving down the cost, we're going to figure out a way to do it. All right, you want to join me, left to talk, 240-242-5646, 240-242-5646. Look, I almost am prepared to fall for that again. Maybe I will vote the lesser of two evils if I'm prepared to believe maybe they'll do some things that are good, meaning Harris-Walz. But we've got to brainstorm, and we've got to figure out ways together to hold these people accountable. Because so far, they're like, the football. I remember, what was it that Stephen Miller always used to mock Republicans? Oh, they're like Lucy, they're going to pull the football away from you. That's what Democrats do, right? Remember Obama, we're going to have a public option. We're going to figure out when he ran in 2008. Nope, no public option, nothing. He was going to make sure that homeowners got a fair shake, bailed out the big banks. We have a more humane foreign policy. I'm not seeing it. Workers will get priority in the Obama administration. After all, Indiana, 2008, Indiana, the Hoosier state, blood red, Dan Quayle state, that went for Obama. Workers are going to get a better shake? I don't think so. 3 community-destroying free trade, quote, free, unquote, trade deals, plus aggressive promotion of the Trans-Pacific Partnership, NAFTA on steroids. So, yeah, the Democrats pull that football away every single time. We're going to get a $15 minimum wage, said Joe Biden. We didn't. We're going to take on the drug companies. He didn't. And now we're all, oh, maybe Kamala, she's spoken. She seems to care about the Palestinians a little bit. We'll see, maybe. So the message to Harris, please let us go back to our families and say that you're going to do something to protect their families in Palestine. She gave nothing. And then another, right? Elabed crying, please let me go back to the communities in Dearborn and other Arab majority districts and say you're going to do something to stop the destruction of their homeland. And as far as we can tell, she said nothing. Another Arab American leader, Alawieh, practically begged Harris to not put Arab American voters in a position to help Trump get elected. As he said, it's as important as ever to beat back Trump's hurtful, destructive agenda and the plans that he has to accelerate the genocide against Palestinians in Gaza. So Alawieh is saying, look, we get it. Trump is even worse than Biden. But that's not enough for us to vote for you. You have to promise, you have to say in terms we can believe you're going to take on AIPAC, you're going to take on Netanyahu, you're going to stop supplying them, Israel, with the weapons of killing and mass killing. And nothing. Crickets. So at her speech, Harris, this is, I guess, courtesy of, I think this is courtesy of the Detroit Free Press. Just an absolutely rapturous crowd. The crowd loves her. Oh my God. You're not Trump. Anyone but Trump. And it's even better because you're a black woman. So what a slap in that racist face. I mean, I'm giving you the mindset of the people in that crowd, the people who were in tears when Hillary lost, right? It was so, oh my God, what a heartbreak that this elitist, this 100-millionaire, this former first lady, oh my God, how tragic it was that she couldn't become president. And now identity again playing such a tremendous role in the support for Harris. It's not about policy. It's just, let's show the Republicans, let's show those really bad people that we can beat them. Here's Harris.
Look, as we move our nation forward, Donald Trump intends to take our nation backward. Just look at his Project 2025 agenda. Project 2025.
So it's just amazing. I mean, just incredible love for Harris. And I'm not saying I don't get it. Look, Trump has been completely turned into the boogeyman, and Trump makes a pretty good boogeyman. He doesn't need that much help to be, turned into an evil, satanic-like figure. I get that. But still, don't we want to have shouldn't there be something else we demand besides, simply, you're not Donald Trump? It seems like that's all you need to get the support of the Democratic base. All you need is not to be Donald Trump.
Check out Project 2025, because I'm telling you, it is a plan.
All right, so you can hear there's some protesters there after this. The entire crowd erupts. Kamala. So then she quietens them down, and then you can hear some protesters. These are the pro-Palestine voices, the anti-genocide voices.
Plan to weaken America's middle class.
And she's not happy.
Project 2025, if he is elected.
And now, of course, the crowd's trying to shut up the protesters. It's now, I want to just make a point. I get it. Look, Obama used to get really pissed off when there would be protesters at his events. And I understand that, right? I mean, there can be trolls. They could be paid Republican operatives, right? I mean, the crowd is there presumably to hear you. You want to win. I get all that. This is such an important issue, right? This isn't something you can turn your back on. This isn't something you can say, well, look, I understand you people in Flint want clean water, but we've also got to talk about the climate crisis, right? Like there's competing issues that are really important. No. What our support, American full-throated, unconditional support for Israel, is about as important as an issue can be. And it's especially important in Michigan. So what I would like Harris to have done is engage and say, hey, I feel your pain. I get why you're so angry. Yes, we have indeed supported the wrong side under Joe Biden. I do not share his view about the wisdom or the justness of supporting Israel against Palestine. We must change. I mean, wow, what if she had said that? Wouldn't that have been the most amazing, awesome thing you could say? And guess what else? Lose. Every newspaper in the country would savage her for that. She would get, that would generate tens of millions of dollars in donations for AIPAC and the Republicans. It would be, I don't want to say it would be a suicide effort. It would be a successful suicide attempt if she said, we're on the wrong side in Israel. We have to support Palestine. Even though many Americans believe that. Maybe she could have said, gone so far as say, we need a ceasefire. I get what you're saying here. She should have said it before when she met with the families. Maybe it wouldn't have had the protests that she had to face. But this is where I promised you I would try to see the Harris side of it, try to be open to it. And that is, yeah, I mean, as much as I hate it, as wrong as it is, the American public doesn't give a crap about, with some exceptions, most Americans don't give a damn about Palestine. They don't care what Israel is doing. They don't care very much. And a small minority of incredibly rich and influential Americans are putting tens of millions of dollars, if not more, on the scale to push for more genocide, to push for more killing, to push for a complete silencing of Palestine voices, pro-Palestine voices. So that's what Harris faces. It's the reality. It's a tragic reality. I don't see any way around that reality except, okay, don't vote for her, right? Send a message to the Democrats. If you don't confront Israel, if you embrace Israel, we won't vote for you. We can send that message, fine. But another message is being sent right now. Another message has been sent. If you're a somewhat responsible, somewhat progressive representative, and you make critical statements about Israel, you'll lose your seat. There's a very good shot, depending on your district. If you are in a district that has a very large number of Jewish voters, you're probably going to lose your seat, like Jamal Bowman. And if you're in a district that has a plurality of African American voters, like Cori Bush, who we can attack based on other things, on things other than your anti-Israel, your pro-Palestine statements, like your legitimate challenges to President Biden, you'll lose your seat. Or you can run in a district that has a relatively high percentage of African American voters and Jewish voters like Cleveland, Akron, if you're Nina Turner, and we'll defeat you for the same, based on both, right? We're going to attack you in the Jewish neighborhoods for being insufficiently pro-Israel, and we're going to attack you in the African American neighborhoods for being critical of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. So the message is very, very clear, and trust me, Kamala Harris got that message. She read the memo. Don't go after Israel. Don't take on Israel. Anybody got any answers? I'd love to hear them. Anybody got any suggestions how we can fight the genocide? Because I'm all ears. 240-242-5646. Kamala Harris is leading in this race. I saw a video, I'll actually play for you, where David Axelrod, the architect, right, I guess more than anyone else, of Obama's victory in 2008. He was with Obama, I think, since the 1990s. He went back as far as that and said, this is a guy with tremendous political acumen. He's got great instincts. I can ride him to the White House. That's kind of the attitude I think Axelrod may have had. And I think Obama, to his credit, recognized Axelrod's skill too. They made a winning team. Axelrod gets this wrong. Axelrod, for some odd reason, thinks Trump is leading. I'm not quite clear why. Look at this. So the latest poll, this is from today, and these are all the polls that were released in August. Trump ain't winning one of them. Now, I get it. We elect people based on electoral college, but the battleground states are pretty much a dead heat right now. Harris has got them big. Harris has got, there's some criticism coming out about Tim Walz, but I think it's going to be tough. The guy served, was he in the military for quite a long time? There's going to be an argument, well, he didn't serve in Iraq. He left just before he would have had to go to Iraq. Okay. Who's going to hold that against him? Nobody. That's just an absurd attack. It's one that will fail. They'll keep throwing things against the wall. Maybe a few voters won't like his support for gender affirming care. I get that. Okay, it's not gonna. I don't see that as an issue. He's the vice presidential candidate, and you're going up against J.D. Vance. If you try to make an issue of his military record, look at what about Trump's military record? Non-existent. The Democratic National Convention's come up. Kamala Harris is probably going to be the next president. And for her to go after AIPAC right now, that's a risk, a big risk. And she ain't a risk, she's a risk-averse politician for sure. Now, I will note, in Michigan, because of the concentration of Arab American voters, maybe it could make a difference, but the latest polls show her with a pretty good lead in Michigan. And then there was one poll that had her up 10, am I right? Maybe 10 points. I'm going to look that up right now for you. Michigan is a battleground state that right now is trending Harris. Now, there are some states where battleground states where it's Pennsylvania and Wisconsin are much closer. But if you're Harris and you're just only concerned with winning, and trust me, that's all she's concerned with, taking a pro-Palestine position right now would probably not be too politically savvy, because Pennsylvania is a more pro-Israel state. Look at the governor, Josh Shapiro. Look at the senator, John Fetterman. These are aggressive Zionist voices. Harris isn't going to want to alienate those folks. Yeah, Michigan could be relevant to her, but I'm going to show you Michigan right now. Well, it's an interesting poll. I guess they just released a CNBC poll that has Trump up by 2. That just got released. Did not see that. So that might slightly dates the one I showed you. Yeah, let me show you this latest from Michigan, which I think is probably what Harris is looking at. And she's saying, I'm not going to rock any boats in Pennsylvania or Wisconsin by going all in for the Palestinians and taking on AIPAC when I've got a nice advantage, at least according to Bloomberg. So I got a nice lead, and I ain't going to blow it in the other Great Lakes states, since Michigan's looking really, really good, even with my pro-Israel background. So here, Harris, plus 11 in Michigan. That's Michigan. That's where you're seeing her coming down, saying, hey, I can take on these protesters. I can, say, don't go after me. There it is, Michigan, Trump v. Harris plus 11. Let me get back to that video. I didn't get to the whole part of it. I want to show you where she her remarks this is the Democratic Party, though, not caring, right? They don't care about what's right. They don't care about voters unless they they might lose. That's the only thing, is if you can beat them. So here we go. More from Harris in Detroit. Harris in the Wolverine State. And by the way, to my commenter who thinks I'm too dark in tone, I apologize. I'll try to be more upbeat, but I got to call it the way I see it.
It's all good. It's all good. I'm here because we believe in democracy. Everyone's voice matters, but I am speaking now. I am speaking now.
So the crowd erupts there. She's saying to the protesters, hey, you got to protest. We live in a democracy, but I'm speaking now. I'm speaking now. The crowd loves it. Shut those dissenters up. How dare they complain about all the bombs that we built falling on their moms and dads and children and grandparents. How dare they whine about that? That's the crowd's attitude. And given that attitude, I don't know what you're supposed to do if you're a presidential candidate and you really do care about Palestinians. Because if you say no to Israel, you're going to face a barrage like you've never seen before.
So Project 2025. Look, if he is elected, Donald Trump intends to give tax breaks to billionaires and big corporations. He intends to cut Social Security and Medicare. He intends to surrender our fight against the climate crisis.
All right, so I'm not totally, this part of the speech is fine. It is policy. She's saying these are the policies my opponent will implement, and she's right. I don't think that's unfair. I prefer when you talk about what policies you'll put in place rather than tell me how bad the other guy is. I want to know how good you are. But okay, maybe she'll get to it. I'm not sure.
And he intends to end the Affordable Care Act. You know what? If you want Donald Trump to win, then say that. Otherwise, I'm speaking.
All right, so that's what she's saying. That's how she's shutting up the protesters. If you want Donald Trump to win, otherwise, I'm speaking. And that's just not acceptable.
You know what? If you want Donald Trump to win, then say that, otherwise I'm speaking.
That's just not acceptable. You need to be willing, you need to be able to talk, if you're a Democrat, to progressives and acknowledge their pain, acknowledge their concerns, which are truly legitimate. At least if you're going to be a truly democratic leader, if you're going to be a truly caring, empathic leader who's fighting for all people in battle, all people who are struggling, all people who are being mistreated, abused. And she clearly isn't. She doesn't want to hear it. She doesn't want to hear about the power. Now, again, I'll give her that little sliver of, excuse. What am I supposed to do? If I'm too willing, if I take on Israel at all, I will probably lose. That's how powerful Israel is. And I don't really have a good answer. I mean, my preference would be, I guess, a politician who says, you know what? Winning isn't as important as telling the truth. But if you take that position, you never know. Maybe, and people ask me, well, under what circumstances would you support Hillary Clinton back in 2016? I said, well, if I could reliably believe that her campaigning as a neocon, as a pro-war neocon, and as a pro-corporate job exporter, Wall Street creature, if I were persuaded that was all a front and that really that was just a tiny little veneer over a raging progressive committed to wealth and income redistribution, yeah, I'd vote for her. Maybe she's playing the long game. But we don't know. And I could say maybe Harris is playing the long game here, but we don't really have good reason to believe that, do we? All right, I had the Axelrod. Yeah, we'll play Axelrod in a second. It's tough. Again, I want to have a dialogue. This is about a dialogue. This isn't just about me speaking. I'm in the live chat. I'm not seeing any chats. I don't know why that is. Not sure whether Shade is chatting in there or not. I'm going to see if I can find, because I sometimes find that I missed them, right? I miss chats. So I'm not clear there. I'll pop it out. No, I guess he's not joining. That's fine. Trump pulled it was supposed to be a September. By the way, Donald Trump's got to be kicking himself in the ass right now. How did I agree to that debate? What a mistake that was, that July debate. I mean, now he's got to face a candidate. And you saw Harris there. She spoke well. She looks good. She's on message, right? Compare that to the old fossil Biden, compared to whom Trump looked pretty good by comparison. Well, he doesn't look good compared to Harris. It's a big, and appearances mean so much in presidential elections, especially because we don't debate policy. We don't demand as voters that policy be debated. By the way, yes, please click subscribe. Please click like. Please click subscribe. Oh, so Trump says he's going to debate Harris. By the way, there was a September debate planned, and Trump pulled the rug out from that. I think it's because my guess is they're looking at Harris and are saying, wait a second, she's can string sentences together. She's cogent. She's rational. She'll be able to respond to what I say. I don't think she's not the world's greatest debater. There's word salads out there, lots of videos of her just sort of fumbling over her words. But, come on. She's a lawyer. I'm not going to say she's super smart, but she's certainly reasonably intelligent, probably well above average. And Trump probably isn't, except when it comes to business, if he's even there. So he's got troubles. And that's why he said, I don't want to debate her. But he's got to be kicking himself, man. How did I, because the debate where he just, I don't even want to say he cleaned Biden's clock, but where Biden just fell on his, stepped on his what, all through that debate. I mean, that probably sealed Trump's fate, right? If Trump hadn't agreed to that debate and said, no, we'll wait till after the convention like usual, it would have been much tougher to replace Biden. So what a mistake by Trump. to do the debate with Biden. Because otherwise, Biden would still be the opponent, and Trump would still probably be the odds-on favorite to be the next president. Yeah, I wanted to show this. So where is it? Where did I find? Yeah, so this was a comment. Let me just do this real quick because I love comments. I do. I was so happy to see this from Earth Tones Symbols. So Earth Tone Symbols, thank you so much for commenting. I know it's not super complimentary, but I love it because it's not insult. You don't insult me. You don't say Hal's a jerk. You don't say Hal's an idiot. You don't say Hal's a Republican shill or this or that. You say he's hard to listen to, meaning me. His tone and overall energy are dark, very dark, and negative in my opinion. This is, by the way, in case you were wondering what particular podcast this is a response to. It's the one I did with Arlen a few days ago on Monday, or no, Tuesday, just 2 days ago, right? Because Monday was his anniversary, mine too, and it was not a Halitics with Arlen. So this was 2 days ago. I don't think it was so dark. I got some real positive feedback from others. Oh, it was a good back and forth. There was a lot of interesting dialogue. But I think Earth Tone Symbol, I get what you're saying, Earth Tone's Symbols. I was basically too critical of the Democrats in general, too pessimistic, too skeptical of the ultimate positive intentions, good intentions of the Democratic nominee. I think that's where Earth Tone Symbols is going with that. And hey, I got to it. I am skeptical. I am cynical. I'm not a true believer in any way. But I really thank you for commenting. I hope you'll keep listening. I hope I see more of your comments. Just another couple of quick little blurbs before we get back into the kind of the fray of it. This took me, I have to say, I found this, it's not really important, but it grabbed me, this meme on Facebook, because I saw it from afar and I was like, wait a second. The first thing I thought, and this is a smart one, if this is a Republican distributed, or maybe it's like the famed Russian bots are putting this out there, I don't really know. But I did a double take, like when I looked at this I was probably on getting a cup of coffee. And I looked over at my screen for a second. And I don't know why it would have popped up, but maybe I had just clicked something and went to get my coffee, looked back. So I saw this and I was like, oh my gosh, why is Hillary with Tim Walz? Forget it. I can't vote for this man if Hillary Clinton is embracing him, right? That was my first reaction. Honest to God. How could I possibly, what evil sorcery is this? And, maybe it would be somebody like very intelligently photoshopped Hillary into the Tim Walz, to an image of Tim Walz. But actually, that is Mrs. Walz. And I showed that to my wife, and she's like, yeah, she looks a little bit like Hillary there, but it's not Hillary. And I'm like, no, you're right, it's not. I mean, there's a lot of ways that woman is clearly not Hillary. But just the haircut and the smile, the affect in that moment, it looks like Hillary Clinton. And I was like, yeah, that's weird. I mean, why? Well, they say, why does his wife look like Hillary? And I'm like, what? Is that Hillary? That was my bigger concern. I don't care if his wife looks like, I don't care who his wife looks like. His wife can look like Imani Khalif as far as I'm concerned. It won't affect who I vote for, but if it's Hillary there embracing him, that's going to be a problem for me, to be fair, to be honest with you. All right, I got a few more minutes left. Please, would love to talk. By the way, no program tomorrow. So this is kind of doubling up as a free-for-all. I'll be back Wednesday. I told you I was taking 3 breaks this summer, and this is the 3rd. This is the shortest. I had a hell of it, I got to tell you. I mean, I know this. I don't mean to be bragging or anything, and I don't know who's listening, but if it comes off as bragging, people post in social media all the time, they show themselves at some restaurant in like Umbria or something, or overlooking the Capri, right? And I'm like, Bay of Naples, right? Whatever. And I'm like, yeah, do you really have to let us know about your fancy vacations? It's a little brag, but I hate that, basically. I rarely post, when I'm away. I don't like to do that. Maybe like if I climbed a mountain, but I guess that's bragging too. So did get some really great trips in this year, I have to say, and it's been really nice. And I'm fortunate. I'll just make it that way. I've been really, really lucky that I have had the opportunity to do some really nice traveling. That's all I can say. Glad. Lucky for me. Here's Axelrod. Let's get back to the rough and tumble of the politics. Axelrod on CNN. I thought he had a lot of interest. I always like to hear what he has to say because he's pretty good. He's pretty savvy. Yeah, he's a Democratic operative and all that. And, you know, you have to filter it through the lens of the Democrats. But he was one of the people who called out Hillary for being way too negative about Bernie. He said, I wish they'd stop doing it. I wish they'd stop attacking Bernie. And she didn't like that, man. She was not. So here's Axe, as he's called by his CNN fellows and female colleagues. Here he is.
Interesting to me. What more than anything, Jessica, what it reflects is just how the world has shifted in 13 days. You know, that where Trump is running away from debates and trying to change the terms of the debates, and the polls have shifted in a way that shows him to be in the lead, but not in the lead.
I want to stop that. I don't think that's correct. Axe is completely right. Axelrod is completely correct when he says that the world has shifted, but he's suggesting it shifted from a Trump leans Trump or favors Trump, or Trump is the favorite, to now it's really close. But he still says they favor Trump. This is a couple, 3 days ago, so some new polls hadn't come out. And again, hey, a CNBC poll came out today that shows Trump with a bit of a lead nationally. So that's a change from the other ones we've seen. So it is close, no question. 538 calls it a toss-up. I'm still standing by leans Harris. I don't think it's defensible to say the polls lean Trump, but here's Axelrod.
The way he was after that last debate with Joe Biden. So I think there's a justifiable sense of concern in his camp that this thing could get away from him. It may be their race to lose, but it's a race that could be lost, which is something they didn't feel when they left that convention in Milwaukee.
Well, and she has. So
again, I'm just going to interrupt here because the host there, who's questioning him, she just is totally there to repeat Democratic talking points, and I'll get to them in a moment, or get to her and then comment on them. But again, what Axelrod is saying is what I was saying. This was Trump's race to lose. And I can't believe he's not, if maybe he doesn't get it, I don't know. He must be kicking himself that he ever did. Because that's why Biden's not in the race. That debate sealed Biden's fate. And if Trump had said no debates until after you're the nominee, because I don't know what's going to happen, I don't feel like, giving you a state. You're going to present it like, hey, I don't want to do you any favors, right? By giving you a platform when you might not even be the nominee. You don't know. Although I guess they knew because he'd gotten the votes. But, maybe he'll step down. There could be health reasons, what have you. And that's why Trump is now, I think, likely to lose this race. Because he did debate, right? He did debate Biden, and that was what the absolute disastrous performance by Biden gave enough ammo to Pelosi and Obama to push Biden out.
Has this background as a prosecutor, and she's really trying to create this contrast between someone who is a convicted felon standing on the stage with her and her prosecuting felons.
So there the host is like, hey, look, we've got this great prosecutor, and this is what she wants to do. She's a prosecutor, and now she's going up against a felon. And that's not really what Axelrod's point is at all. So and he doesn't. He's just, go ahead and say it because, the Democrats are probably paying you to say that, or CNN, or the CNN sponsors. And I think you got to say to yourself, if CNN is so strongly pro-Harris, what does that tell you? It tells you probably Harris isn't on your side, right? That's what it tells me. If corporate media really loves a candidate, then there's something wrong with that candidate. And what's wrong with them is they're not on the side of poor, struggling, working people, on the side of corporate elites, like those who manage, who own big media, and those whose faces you see. I mean, she's a corporate elite. Her voice, she's famous. I don't know who she is. Personally, I don't know her name from Adam, but I assume she's famous. She probably makes high six figures. Maybe she's like a weekend person. I don't really know. Yeah. But you do what your boss tells you. And the bosses want, at least at CNN, they want Harris.
Well, the other thing is the two of them on a debate stage, the whole scenario shifts. You've got a guy who's 78 years old, who frankly isn't all that coherent all the time himself, who suddenly looks like the past and not the future. And so this is not the scenario the Trump campaign wanted. They thought they had this race under control. It is much more of a contest now.
All right, so bottom line, and Trump will have to debate, I think. I don't know how he gets out of that. All right, it's been an hour. I've got some more stories, but it is my last program for a few days. I'm going to take off now. I got a lot of work. I got to get ready for my travels, going up to Boston, to New England. So shorter trip this time, which I'm pleased about. Have a great weekend, a long weekend, I hope, for you as well. I'm fortunate to be able to enjoy it. And I'll talk to you Wednesday. Please keep the comments coming. Don't forget, couple things. Yeah, a couple more announcements. Please do subscribe. And hey, if you don't really want to, if you don't have time to watch all my videos, or you don't want to engage here, a great place to engage is at Halitics on Facebook, the group, and there's a link to it in the show description. I'll see you Wednesday, this coming up.